Hello everyone. Today, we're diving into ISO 9001 Clause 872, which focuses on documenting non-conforming outputs. If you're new here, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss our latest discussions on lean ISO management systems. Our previous videos discussed controlling non-conforming outputs by different dispositions, such as correction, return, suspension, and concession. Now, let's focus on what standard wants us to document and why the standard falls short yet again. The clause requires that the organization retains documented information that describes the nonconformity, b. the actions taken, c. any concessions obtained, and d. identifies the authority deciding the action for the nonconformity. Typical documentation of nonconformities is a nonconformity or NC report or customer complaint record for deficiencies identified after delivery. These records document the nonconformity detected internally or reported by the customer. In your report, consider not only stating the nonconformity, this or that is wrong, but also stating the requirement that the incident violated, as well as detailed evidence related to the event. After we define the nonconformity, we need to document the actions, which are the dispositions. Per the standard they are, correction or rework, return to supplier or other source of nonconformity, suspension, and concession or use as. While the first three dispositions are clear, the last one, use per the concession, appears to contradict the fundamental objective of the standard to provide products and services meeting customer requirements. So, what's the alternative? Use as revised? We discussed this approach in the previous videos, but here is a brief overview. If the output is usable but does not meet the spec, it means the spec was incorrect. So, go back, revise and revalidate your spec to reflect the real-life requirements and use the output per the new specification. This works well if you owe the spec. Another story is when the customer owns the spec and declines to revise the requirements. In this case, we don't have any options but to follow the customer's new verbal or written requirements. In this case, to comply with the standard, we must document customer communications or record their verbal instructions. So, let's add this new disposition use as revised to our list and move on. Besides these five, the standard failed to remember other common dispositions: regrade and scrap. Regrade is downgrading a product for a different use, such as selling consumer electronics with minor damages as open box instead of new. And scrap, or disposing of a product beyond correction or use. Did ISO forget these, or just assumed we'd figure them out? Either way, they should be considered and documented. The last requirement for documenting nonconformities is the identification of the authority that decides on the actions. This part is simple. Your NC form most likely has a list of signatures required to authorize such actions. In another scenario, rework is handled in the process. In this case, verification of correction is documented in job travelers or job orders. In that case, the authority is usually defined in the job documents themselves, and often, it is either the inspector or the employee responsible for the operation. I do not know if it is on purpose, or the standard forgot to require documentation of all points mentioned in the previous Clause 871 that required, among others, provision of information to customers. I would definitely document it. Another point is, why would not we communicate with a supplier if a nonconformity came from them? I think we should. Now, let's talk about really serious stuff. While the standard referenced numerous times statutory and regulatory requirements, this aspect is not identified in the nonconformity clause. Specific industries, such as medical device manufacturers, automotive, aerospace, and many others have strict regulatory requirements regarding communications for particular nonconformities due to safety concerns. For example, suppose you manufacture medical devices and receive a doctor's report indicating that such a failure could have caused patient injury or death. In that case, you must report such an event to the FDA. Another example relates to aviation. I bet you remember numerous instances when the FAA grounded particular aircraft types for inspections and repairs due to identified deficiencies. Ignoring regulatory communication requirements can lead to fines, lawsuits, and regulatory actions. If your industry has reporting obligations, make sure your NC process includes such notifications. Another element that was required in Clause 871, but not considered in Element 872, is verification of correction. I do not see a rationale for not documenting such an important step, so consider adding it to your NC record. Let's wrap things up. Here's a quick summary of today's discussion. Use all practical dispositions, correction, return to supplier, suspension, use as, where unavoidable, use as revised, regrade, and scrap. Include in your NC record information not only to customers, but also suppliers and regulators. Document evidence of verification of correction. Drop me a line in the comments if you think the standard missed other typical dispositions. I will email you a link to a free Kindle copy of my book ISO Management Systems, The Lean Revolution. As always, check out the free resources available on our website. Please contact me if you have questions about this topic or need assistance implementing your lean management system. My information is below. If you like the video, please subscribe, share, like, and comment. Your support helps us promote our Lean QMS project. Thanks for watching, and until next time.